So our ability to influence the outcome of the Great Beyond is almost impossible to do because of the grand scale of things. And according to Ian, there's not only first ones, but there's even a clockmaker that we at some point need to contend with, right? At some point, even the clockmaker is going to make an appearance, and whoever he or she is going to throw even more wrenches into the works, right? That we may or may not know how to deal with. On a very personal level, we do have some free will. We have some ability to impact our immediate circumstances. And I believe that this is exactly what Sylvanas is fighting against. She's fighting against the predetermined or the deterministic nature of the universe. Because the deterministic nature of the universe puts us in the position of chess pieces, where we're moved around in whichever way they want us, regardless of what we actually want. But based on the Primus's voiceover lines and also based on the enemy infiltration preface, I have a theory that we've touched on this theory in the past, but as far as I'm concerned, all of this actually feeds more into that theory. As far as I'm concerned, it actually feeds this theory far more than what it takes away from the theory. Ian is in an interview with Balula, and he explains how we will meet the first ones in the Shadowlands, most likely, or learn about the first ones in the Shadowlands. And then we're going to learn about the Clockmaker and all the rest of it. And people just automatically assume that the first ones created the universe, and they created the Titans and the different Titans from the different realms and the different cosmological forces. They created the cosmological forces, and they all sit around and sing Kumbaya. Here's my problem. These forces are too different to have been designed by a single creature. These forces are too different to have been designed by a number of creatures that have the same ideological bends. It makes no sense. To give you a clear example of an ideological difference, the light and the void. The light is as close to fascism as you can fucking get, right? It's a fascistic, militaristic, do as I say or else mentality that the light has about everything in the universe. The void, on the other hand, is far more do whatever the fuck feels good, as long as we get to take over the world, right? The void seems far less interested in taking away things or taking away your freedom, if you will, right? How in the world are you going to convince me that the light and the void was made by the same first one? You can't. These were different first ones. Each of them, in my opinion, believing that they had the answer to the universe. And I'll explain it to you from an ideological perspective. Order, and I'll try to link it with real world. Order is communism or socialism. The idea that a single force can create order within a society by controlling the outcome of a society. We've seen this time and time again. It fails miserably. It never fucking works. Disorder, on the other hand, is an ideology that states much closer to laissez-faire capitalism, shall we say, or libertarianism, if you will, where we say, fuck it, leave it, we'll see. Let the cards fall where they may. Again, can lead to some pretty big fuck-ups, right? Neither system is great if you have a pure system of that and only that, right? So, leads to some clear fuck-ups. Death, on the other hand, right, it's the end point. It's basically the howl, if you will, right? It's the end point. It sees everything in only that one route. And while I don't exactly know how you'd do that in terms of an ideological bend, What I see from the Shadowlands right now, these are power-hungry creatures. These creatures want a lot of anima, and they really only care about the power that the anima provides for them. Life, right? Life and death, two very different ideologies, two very different ideas within their ideologies, two very different ways of viewing the world. And then we've already discussed, light is fascism, if you will, right? Light is fascistic in its nature. The void, on the other hand, would once again probably be closer to libertarianism in that, fuck it, just do whatever, right? The void is very much based on H.P. Lovecraft, and this is exactly what the old outer gods and H.P. Lovecraft wanted to do. This is how I got to there. They didn't really want to kill people, they just wanted to make humanity free so that we could war and kill and fuck, true words, and fuck as much as we wanted without the boundaries of morality that held us down. This is what the outer gods in the H.P. Lovecraft universe wanted to do with us, and this is what the void effectively wants to do, right? They just want you free to do whatever, just let them do whatever they want to do. These 6 cosmological forces 100% cannot have been made by the same first one, because why? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Even if you say to me, but they're doing it to keep balance. There's no balance at the moment. These forces are tearing each other apart. These forces are not in balance with one another. In fact, thanks to these forces, the universe is consistently within flux. The universe is consistently not working as it's meant to work because of these forces and their lusts for power. Now, again, if you wanted to tell me that, well, they did it for balance, then it would have been fine if the creation itself was done in a way that allows for these forces to not seek to control the universe, but rather to only control their own little portion of the universe. But that's clearly also not what happened. So what do I think happened? Each first one created what they believed from an ideological perspective the universe should look like. Why do we all just accept that the first ones somehow worked together? That has never been stated in the history of ever. There is not a single document within the universe that states that the first ones worked together. So what if each one of the first ones had their own ideas and they designed a world based on those very ideas? They designed their world based on that very idea. Elune, being obsessed with balance, did the one thing that I told you she should have done. She created her eternal ones, her forces, light, life, and order, in a way that that's the only things they care about. Like, that's the only thing they truly care about, is they're very one-track minded in their viewpoints. But if I look at disorder, death, and shadow, does it not look like this could be perhaps another first one, or the work of another first one? If I were to say that, let's imagine for a second that it's been confirmed that light, life, and order belongs to Elune. Could you not see similarities between disorder, death, and shadow? I believe you could. But I think there's far more first ones out there. And I think the first one that made death did something with his eternal ones that he should not have done. He gave them the ability to think for themselves. He gave them the ability to decide what the universe should or should not be. This is what led to the jailer deciding to destroy all of the other cosmological forces, because he did not agree with the other cosmological forces. You can see it in this text. Listen to how the Nathrazim think about the different cosmological forces. Their explanations for the different cosmological forces. In many ways, the Titans will be the easiest to manipulate. Their singular goal is to impose structure upon everything they see. They don't even see them as similar. Now remember, if it's true that all the first ones worked together to create the universe, then would the Eternal Ones and the Titans not effectively be brothers and sisters? Ian did tell us that we've never seen a Titan world, right? According to this, they are not brothers and sisters. Benathrius is not speaking about his brothers. It's not. This doesn't seem like they're on the same side. That they're all working towards the same goals. I don't think they are. Not even close. The way they speak about the other forces tells you that there is a massive amount of animosity between these forces. They do not like each other, but the one thing that stands out about the Pantheon of Death is that they seem to be the only Pantheon that can think for itself, that can question, that can go against the grain of what they were ultimately designed to do. All of the other cosmological forces seem incapable of doing this. The Titans, one-track minded. The Light, one-track minded. Life is a little bit difficult because they're antithetical to the Pantheon of Death. But again, remember what I said to you guys. The reason I think that the Shadowlands has been completely and utterly corrupted, and that the Shadowlands is no longer what it used to be, is because death has been infiltrated by the light. If you listen to the words here, the adherents to life are the most insidious of opponents, perhaps because their nature is so antithetical to our own. Still, we learned much from observing the link between their plane and Ardenweald, and we have high confidence that a vulnerability has been identified. Like I said, life does not belong there. So there might be more betrayal much further back than even the jailer's betrayal or treason of his brothers, or the treason, according to him, of his brothers against him. This betrayal could go much further back than even that. From where I sit, looking at the cosmological forces, looking at the cosmological map, the first ones, they're not a team. They don't seem to be brothers and sisters in that they don't work together. I believe the first ones themselves are enemies in a way. Enemies of each other, because each one of the first ones has their own idea about how the universe should or should not function. How the universe should or should not proceed. And each one of the first ones believe that they have the answer. And we might end up with an expansion where the clockmaker needs to step in and say, fuck it, you guys are absolutely bonkers. We have to bring an end to your incessant war games. Yeah. That's pretty much my belief on that.